Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Build Your Best Life with Coach Deborah D. Smith. I am super excited to have you here today because why? You could have been anywhere else, but you thought it not robbery to join us today. And I can't wait for us to get excited because we are talking about some good stuff today. And I am excited to invite my guest here, Dr. Cynthia Thompson. Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Greetings. I am doing quite well, and thank you so very much for inviting me.
Thank you for sharing. Um, so, as always, we are excited. This year I'm talking about it's all about actions. What we say, what we do, our facial expressions, our gestures, our writing, all speak volumes, and it's what people actually see. So, our actions are essential. And this month, my theme is crisis intervention. And I think that, you know, I selected this topic, I guess, about a month ago, and it just seems like everything is going crazy. I was sitting here earlier looking at the news, and I'm thinking they're talking about the shooting from last weekend, like there's been one at a school. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? So we are in a crisis, but God's in control. So we're going to make it. So today we're talking about check your fruit. Check your fruit. And you know that there are all types of fruit: joy, peace, patience, self-control. And we have some of us have all of them. Some have some not so much. But life is all about actions, and we should know our fruit. We should live our fruit. So, how is your self control? Because that's really one thing we are focusing on today. Before we actually get into this, Cynthia, do you mind telling our viewers a little about yourself?
No, I don't mind at all. I'm a native of Dayton, Ohio, although my maternal side hails from Louisiana, so I often say my roots are very Southern. There's just something positive for me with the Southern style. Um, I am a graduate of Bethune-Cookman College, a graduate of the University of Cincinnati School of Law, and I have a master's and doctorate degree from United Theological Seminary. I am a magistrate in a juvenile court where I handle cases that deal with abuse, neglect, and dependency of minor children. So those are all the highlights of my life. I am, of course, a reverend. I am a pastor in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church as well. I think that
Awesome,
covers me.
awesome, awesome, awesome. So I can have you on different segments. You hitting all the spots except the young men. Great, great, great. Good evening to Agnes, Deacon Holmes, and Peggy. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're ready to get started here. Well, over the past several months, we have discussed all aspects of associations: our family, our friends, even our enemies. But one of the, I think, was a critical attribute that we addressed is essential to the community based on their character. Some people, when they're looking for friends, they look at that personality, that outside. Oh, she looks so sweet. Oh, isn't he just so handsome? Oh, yes. But they don't get a chance to go inside and look at that character. And we know that the fruit of the Spirit consists of joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control. And so today we are focusing on that self control. So, Cynthia, please tell everyone your perspective on self control and its importance in helping people live better lives.
If I can paraphrase Howard Thurman, what a person permits another person to do determines the quality of that person's inner life. In other words, and now in my words, it's not how people treat us, it's how we react to how people treat us that determines our destiny, that determines our altitude, our attitude, which then determines our altitude and our aptitude. How high we can go depends on how we react to how others treat us. Self control simply means temperate, calm, being able to master one's desires and accomplish one's goals. And so that's, in a nutshell, my thought about what self control is and why self control is important in our life. Uh, if if we can maintain self control, we can keep ourselves out of a lot of negative situations, and we can focus in on a lot of positive things and can accomplish a lot of positive things, because along with self control, we also have the ability to have self determination, self discipline, and it keeps us focused on the task and the goal at hand. So it's not how people treat us that should really matter to us. It's how we react to how people treat us. Yes, we could act negatively, but that will only allow us to spiral out of control and have negative consequences. Or we can rise above it and react positively and have the positiveness come into our life.
Great stuff. I like that. But yes, like I said, it's all about our actions. So, we are the only ones that we can control. So it's all up to us. So I know this is like a, a big question to ask, but your self control on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put yourself?
I would like to think that I'm a 10, but in reality, I'm probably a 7.5 and an 8. And I say that because this is something that I have actively been working on in my lifetime. And it does require doing the work. Um, as one author's book tells us, it's not about how you fall, because we all fall. It's rising strong that matters. And so if we do the work, then each time we can strengthen ourselves, and we can rise strong, and we can move that gauge from either a negative number or a low number as 1, and move our self-control gauge higher and higher. And so there are still some things that make me want to, pull my hair out or scream, such as the continued mass shootings, the continued abuse of children. Those are things that I like to um, exercise more control over myself with, but that requires that I do work, not just hear about it, but also be about it, to do something about it. So now let me flip the question. What number are you?
Yeah, I'm probably maybe about a 7, but I had it really, really bad.
Okay.
So as you stated, as I mature, I try to really, really work on it. So I have come a long way, but I still have a lot of work to do. But and
And that's the
I think
key.
about, I have children, I have grandchildren, so how is it that I want them to see me react? So that really makes me work on it harder.
But that's the key. The key is we have to work on it. Everybody has to work on it. It doesn't just come naturally. Our worldly instinct is to just lash out if someone is lashing out to us, and so it does take work. I agree with you. It does take work.
All right. Yeah, so interesting. I watch Daily Blast that comes on at 2. And today I hadn't heard about this, but today they were showing how an ex-football player and this guy at the airport, one of the workers, got in a fist fight. and it was about him pushing his belongings around in a wheelchair. But it was like, oh my goodness, they are just fighting. And it wasn't like, somebody tapped somebody and somebody, responded, but they was like, hey, come on, bring it, bring it, bring it. And it was so bad that the guy who worked behind the ticket counter, he got knocked behind the counter. I'm like, what is going on in the world?
Right.
We just, it's just out there, but we can only control ourselves.
That we can only control that which we can control. Yes. And we have a difficult time controlling ourselves. So absolutely.
Right.
And that's one of the models I live by. I can only control that which I can control. I can't control everything else.
That's awesome. Yes, thank you. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you for tuning in. And who else I see? Peggy, Dan. Thank y'all for tuning in to our conversation here. Well, there are stories of people with phenomenal character, good character, and then some people with not so good character that were in the Bible, but they all had the same set of rules, a guide to go by. But perhaps the difference was their ability to self-control themselves, because he left the same commandments for everybody. So what is your perspective on people making good choices that positively impact them, their character, and then the opposite, what makes them fall into bad character?
I'm going to start with this. Just because a person makes a bad choice does not necessarily mean that they are a bad person. And that's something that I especially tell the youth that I deal with. They made a bad choice. They made a mistake. It doesn't have to define who they are, but there are consequences that come along with that. One of the parables that I share with them is that of the pebble in the pond. When you skip a pebble in the pond of water, then when the water splashes up and waters the flowers and the flowers grow and they're beautiful, then that is a good thing. That is a good consequence. But likewise, when you toss the pebble and the water comes up and it drowns the new baby birds that were nesting by the lake, and you didn't see the baby birds, you're still responsible for that action too. And that's a negative consequence. So when you do negative things, you receive negative consequences. And when you do positive things, you receive positive consequences. And so our life is to do as much positive and put that in the atmosphere so that we can receive that back. As we're told, as we know, you reap what you sow.
Oh, yes.
So if you sow to the flesh, you reap from the flesh. If you sow to the spirit, you reap from the spirit. So in other words, if you sow negative things, you'll reap negative things. But if you sow positive things, you'll reap positive things. However, just because a person on their life's journey has made a mistake or has done something that could be determined to be bad at that point in their time does not necessarily define who they are or who they can become. They can, again, rise strong, move forward from that, but they'll have to put in the work, accept the consequences, but put in the work.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And I totally 100% agree with you. On my platform, that's what I work with: young men, high school age, and young adult males. And that is what I teach, is that you are going to run into obstacles and pitfalls and rough terrain, but you can overcome those things. Like you say, if you didn't make mistakes, you wouldn't be human. So we all make mistakes. But what is it that you want to do? Do you want to do better? Do you want to come out of that? Accept help. And I'm begging everyone to step up and assist and help our young men, but get that help, because you can overcome those obstacles and build your best life. So I totally agree with that.
I remember the story of a young man who committed murder when he was about 16 or 17, and he received a life sentence, an adult life sentence.
Mm.
So he's been in prison for 35 years. He's now in his 50s, and he said, I'm not the same person I was at 17. I have grown, I have learned. They can release me back into society because I now fully understand the difference between right and wrong. I
Mm.
now understand the action, the consequences of my action. I understand allowing someone to get the better of my self control, not being able to control myself in that instance. And if I had to do it over, I would. But the problem is the way the laws are written, he's going to do life.
Mm.
And he's absolutely correct. He now can exercise better self control at
Right.
50 than he did at 16, 17, but he now has to do it in a gated community, in a geographical location that restricts his behavior.
Right.
And that's something that our youth need to learn, is that some of the consequences of not exercising self-control will and can impact them for life.
Yes, it can. Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, he has a testimony. So, hopefully, he is he can't may probably can't change his circumstances, but maybe he can, talk to some of those that are not in for as long that once they get out, they will want to stay out and they will work like he has worked and understand. Because, like I'm saying, a lot of our young men, they're immature, they don't have anyone to teach them. So you don't know what you don't know, because you don't know. And then if someone is trying to assist you, then if you don't have that person in your life to assist you, then you make that mistake. You hang with the wrong person. You make that little small mistake that you didn't mean to. And it's a matter of life. Tell me, it takes 1 second to ruin a good reputation.
Yes.
So yeah, but that's I like that. uh and
And
that story about that young man.
yeah, and that's something that we have to realize. I run into many youth whose temper gets the best of them. And when their temper gets the best of them, some of them, they say, I black out. So I don't know what I'm doing. I just start swinging and I black out. Somebody hurt me. I want to turn around and hurt them real bad. They need to be able to control that,
Mm.
for the reason of that young man's testimony, so that 35 years later, they're not still sitting in a confined location.
Yes. Awesome. All right. The younger generation needs parents and others to teach them attributes and principles. I believe it is helpful for parents to focus on academics and sports, while at the same time they don't forget that youth need to learn habits, how to be good role models and not followers. They need to learn biblical principles and basic principles. And our youth today, they don't, we used to always say, do as I say, not as I do. But this generation, you can say that all you want, and they may not be disrespectful to you, but they are going to do what they see. So, it's like setting that example. What is your perspective on youth learning self control, and how will it contribute to them building their best life?
You're absolutely correct. First, they have to be taught, and they have to be taught the consequences. They have to be taught discipline. They have to be taught uh, the positiveness of life. They have to be taught the value of life and the value of their life. And so they have to have that exposure to things that are not always negative, but to some things that are positive. We live in a society right now where things are just really difficult. I mean, even when our parents are raising the children, some of them are working 2 and 3 jobs to just make ends meet. So the children are often left unsupervised and they need that supervision. But also, in what I see many times, is that the grandparents are raising the children. And that's difficult because that was not something they expected to do or anticipated that they would have to do. So I would say we have to get back to the basics of parents taking that quality time and teaching their children. It's not about getting our 5-year old the latest iPhone 13 or the latest tablet or, the latest expensive item where we have to sacrifice the quality of the time that we spend with them. Because when I speak with most of the youth, one of the things that they often say is, I need to spend time with my parents. I want to spend time with my parents. And the children appreciate that structure. They appreciate the quality of time that they have with their parents, the ability to have the parent talk to them and be friendly without being their friend, but more of their guidance, their structured person in their life, the person they can come to and say, "Hey, how do you do this?" or "Teach me how to do that." Someone that is investing in them.
All right. Yeah, and I don't know, like we can never figure out all the reasons why, but you try to figure out, uh, as I do research and what can I do? What other thing can I invest in to, help parents and other people to step up and assist? And one of the things that I found in my early research was, so many of our male parents are incarcerated, and as you mentioned, their kids are in single parent home or they're living with their grandparents. So then their grandparents are older and they, may not understand some of the things that they may need or whatever. But life is just changing and evolving, and we just need, like they say, somebody told me not to say a village, but I'm going to say we need a village of people from different backgrounds to assist. I really believe.
Well, if they don't want you to use the word village, then use the word community. We need a community around us. We can't be an island. We need a community. Um, when I know back in our day growing up, whatever that means, um, all the neighbors on the street watched out for all the children on the street, and you knew who was where. And if you got out of line at Miss So and so's house, um, she'd send you home. She'd discipline you and send you home, and would have already called home to let your parents know that she disciplined you, why, and that you were on your way home. And your parents were standing there at the door waiting to receive you for more discipline when you walked in the door. So we kind of knew that we were going to get it, um, because our parents were there to be able to do that for us. And so we have to be able to pour back into the community. It's not just us as individuals, we are a community together. And we also have to embrace one another with love and in love so that we can have that community.
Yes, definitely. And we would love to hear from our viewers with your comments, because I know that you are parents and grandparents, and I know you have some insight on this conversation. So we would love to hear it. But it's just I've always worked for years and years and years in children's ministry, and I can, you mentioned earlier about a lot of parents, they get their kids and, oh, me and my daughter, we're friends. Me and my son, oh yeah, we best friends. We hang out. We do this. We do that. And my child will never do anything wrong. When my kids would come home and say, "Well, the teacher did this," and blah blah blah, and I say, "Okay, and so what were you doing?" So they just out of the blue, because I'm going to school. Now you
Right.
want to tell me what happened. But I had a lady, her daughter, she would just sass us. We couldn't say anything to her. And I went to her one day and I said, well, I asked her to sit down and she just shook her head, sucked her teeth and shook her head and just, went on about her bit. Oh, that doesn't sound like her. And she called her child's name. That doesn't sound like her at all. I said, okay, all right. Fast forward a couple years, she came to me. Anytime you see my child and she's being disrespectful or doing something and you don't think she's right, just slap her. Not me. Not me. Yeah, I tried to help you and maybe you could do something, but you said not your child. So, it's like, hey, what is a person to do?
Right. And even our parents are, you said it earlier that the children imitate what the parents do. They imitate what they hear their parents say. They're little mini recorders, video and audio, as they're developing. And so when they see the parents losing self-control, or they see the parents in the intimate partner violent relationship and they're arguing and fighting, then the child begins to think that is normal behavior and that's what they do. They strike out as well. So uh, they model the behaviors.
Exactly. You really do. Yes. What are some vital areas of your life that a person's level of self-control may heavily impact? I think, just about everything, but is there, in your opinion, certain areas of their life that it may impact more than others?
I think temper, anger, emotions, when those are not under control, they have the biggest impact for negativity. They can lead to the most dire of consequences. So I think those are the areas of life that we really have to focus and bring into self-control. Am I saying that we cannot get angry? No, I'm not saying that. Again, I think I started this conversation with the fact that mass shootings uh, frustrate me, they anger me. But that doesn't mean I get to go out and become a mass shooter.
Right.
So we have to work on our own emotions. We have to work on our own anger and our own tempers so that we can keep those under subjection and thereby demonstrating positiveness and how to handle different situations, because there is a way that we can handle life's situations. We don't always have to take the negative road. We don't always have to cut back or cut someone because they cut us.
That's right.
That's what we have to work on. And it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. At no time am I saying any of this is easy. I will say it gets easier with practice. It gets better with practice. And that's because we've learned. It's just like exercising. It's difficult when we first start and we may not be able to lift, you know, a 50-pound weight. We might have to start at a 5-pound weight, but eventually we can work our way up to the 50-pound weight. Then we can work our way up to the 100-pound weight. Likewise with our emotions, likewise with our temper, with anger, we can work our way up to not always striking back, not always letting everything anger us, because it's not always about us. Somebody striking out at us, we don't need to take that personally. It may not be about us. It's really more about them than it is about us. But they're projecting it onto us. And if we can understand it's not about us, that's something that they're going through, and we don't know what they're going through because we're not walking in their shoes. we don't understand what they've gone through that day. And so sometimes just offering an act of kindness, a small, simple act, a greeting that says hello, or offering a smile to someone can redirect them from that negativeness into something positive that can trigger them into saying, okay, let me exercise some self control here.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think that's good. I don't see any comments. What's going on today? All right. Because Miss Cynthia has some good facts. You're not giving me anything. All right. Can you please give our viewers your top 3 benefits of self control?
Self preservation um, is my first one because it keeps us with a healthy attitude. Uh, if I can maintain self control, I can keep myself in a positive environment, basically. I can keep a healthy attitude toward life, toward others. I can keep a healthy attitude that may keep me from being in the gated community under the control of the state. So, self-preservation is one. My need to live life on my own terms, um, to be able to be in control, uh, self-assertion, to know my value, and then to be comfortable with that, not being negative or intimidating, but to know that my value says that I am worth living, and that living is positive, not living in a negative state of mind. Not, you know how sometimes when you're always around negativity, it just seems to bring you down?
Yes.
Exactly. So my self-assertion is I don't want to be in that space. I want to have a more positive space. And so that knowing my worth and knowing that I desire that can help me eliminate those that bring that negativity to me. And that's all a part of the self-control. And then my self-fulfillment, reaching the goals in life that I want to reach, doing and going places that others tell me I cannot go, and reaching levels that they tell me I cannot reach. When I was in high school, it started there where my high school guidance counselor told me that I would never get into anybody's college and I would never be anything more than a secretary. And when I told her I wanted to be a lawyer, she said to me the most I could be was a legal secretary.
Wow.
Self-fulfillment required me to take control of my life and say, no, I can be. So I did get into college and I graduated. And I did go on to law school and I graduated. I did pass to the bar and I did become a lawyer and I became a magistrate. And I did that because I became disciplined and determined to fulfill my life on my terms. And that's what self control brings for me.
Awesome. I love it. And someone told me it was years ago. See that well, and this is not ugly. I don't think it's ugly, but you know, I don't know if that person is still alive, but to be able to send them a thank you card and say, thank you so much, because that really pushed me to give my very best. And
And
I
and I did every step of the way. As a matter of fact, she told me no college would accept me. So I told her I did get accepted into St. Edward's in Austin, Texas, as well as an HBCU because I didn't want her to think that um, HBCUs would accept anyone. So I got accepted into St. Edward's in Austin, Texas as well. Then when she told me, don't worry about it, I would flunk out. I continued to come back every semester to tell her I did not flunk out, that in fact, I made the dean's list, the president's list. I mean, eventually I graduated summa cum laude because Every time she told me I couldn't, I just kept going. So when she died before I could tell her I did, in fact, become a lawyer. So
Mm.
that was on her. But I took that negative and decided not to let it control me. I took the positive of my mother and my village, my tribal leaders, who said, "You can do." And I did.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. I mean, because oh, there's so many people, and I don't know why people they have that type. Well, that's their character, so I guess they can't help it. To even speak that into someone that has aspirations to become better, to do better. Why would you even speak that? And I'm like you though. When you say it, that just makes me go work that much harder.
Right.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, this time has flown. But Cynthia, can you give me close us out with 5 tips to develop or grow your self control?
My first one is to have a can do attitude. Always believe in yourself, believe that you can do whatever you put your mind to doing. Um, have that self determination so that you can fulfill yourself. Don't look to the external sources for your happiness. Look for the internal source of you for your own happiness. Um, Goal set some goals in life, and then don't let anyone distract you from achieving the goals. Determine what you would like to do. Sometimes what we find out is that when we are on the path that we choose, then others come along and they want us to do something else, and they try to uh, direct redirect us from our goal. No, don't be distracted. Keep it moving. Just keep it going. I'm not saying ignore others, but not everybody who comes into our life is in our life to promote the same journey. Some people will come into our life to distract us from being all that we can be. Be
Yes.
motivated. Be motivated to be the best. And every day that we wake up, we ought to be telling ourselves that we are the best that we can be today, and we're going to do the best that we can do. And when we go to bed at night, say, I may not have done everything right, but I did the best that I could do for today. And when I know better, I'll do better and I will have more. And be confident. Be confident in ourselves. For so many times in our life, we have even lacked our own true identity, and people have told us that our confidence is a sign of arrogance or we're conceited, and it's not. It's just simply we're believing in ourselves, and we want to be able to do um, and be the best that we can be. And so, again, it may not be to your best, but it's the best that I can do.
Mm.
And then be confident in that. We're not all going to have the exact same talent, and we're not all going to be able to do the same thing. I would love to be able to sing. They will tell you I am not a singer. And but in my car, in the shower, or when I'm home alone, I am the best singer possible. But in reality, I know that singing is not my forte, and I'm okay with that because I know what my strengths are. And
Mhm.
so I take confidence in my strengths, and then I have fun in the stuff that I'm not so strong in, like singing
Yeah.
or having fun with that. So those are things I like to read. I don't necessarily like to golf. I'm not going to be a golfer. So
Mhm.
just be confident in the things that are our strengths. And as we develop our strengths and interests, then we can also develop our weaknesses, but we know where our strength lies. And then I would say, lastly, avoid temptation.
Mhm.
Avoid anything that's going to pull us down. Avoid anything that's going to hinder us. avoid anything that's going to take us off our path, off our journey of self-control. Sometimes we just have to avoid it.
Those are good. I like those. I think I missed one though. It's like can-do attitude, goal setting, be confident, avoid temptation. Did I miss one?
Oh, motivation.
Oh yeah, I got it. I put it up there. I didn't write it on my paper. Be
Oh,
motivated.
okay.
I try to take notes and type. Yes, those are very good. So I hope I don't know why my guests are quiet out there today, but I hope you taking notes and got all absorbed. And that's why you haven't been talking back to me. But this has been a great subject, and the responses I really love. They were very relevant to what we were talking about. You have to check your fruit, because they're all different kinds, and some of them we may need to work on. Some of them we may be really strong in, but that self-control is one that is can be a life changer, because to me it centers around your actions, and your actions are you. And as Cynthia said, and I've said before, you can only control one person, and that is yourself. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you would like to leave with everyone? Is anything they can find you on social media, or you have any closing comments or anything?
I would simply like to just take a moment, maybe just a few seconds of silence, so that we can just honor those who are the victims and their families of the mass shootings today. Because again, we are community, and it's all of us sending our love and support, even though we are geographically distant, but we can still send love and support their way. So just a few seconds of silence that we might be able to acknowledge them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Those families, and those in Buffalo as well. And that was what was it? I keep was it right out of San Antonio?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, pray for the families
Now,
tonight.
there's a lot of violence going around, and I heard someone say one time before, we used to fight all the time, but we'd fight with our fists. Now people just pull a gun and shoot you. I mean, you're riding down the highway, you cut somebody off, and they pull a gun and fire at your car. So it's evil is personified.
It is. It's just horrible. We have horns on our cars for a reason, but it's gotten so bad. I'm afraid to use mine, because you blow at somebody, they get angry, and you got road rage. But I had to do it today. A semi was coming over on me, like, you got to get over, you got to go back.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just frightening.
And that's why we have to learn self-control, because it's going to either land us in that gated community under the watchful eye of the state, or it's going to land us 6 feet under. So,
yes. Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank everyone for tuning in today. Please join me Thursday, the 26th. The topic we will have Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is I Need Help. And that is, sometimes I'm big on self-discipline. Self-discipline may be your weakness. And if it is, you definitely need to work on that. And so we have to get over the stigma of not wanting to ask for help. When you need help, you need to learn how to ask for help. So that is our topic for this Thursday. So please join us. Please visit my website, www.buildyourbestlife.org. That's www.buildyourbestlife.org. I have a blog that comes out each Monday, my calendar of events. On the home page, if you click on the icons on the home page, it will take you directly to my social media pages, as well my services that I offer, which is coaching, consultation, speaking, webinar speaking, and I have my book out there, Build Your Best Life. You can get your autographed copy. I do have them in stock, so you can go out there and order your copy of Build Your Best Life. It is for the whole village, the whole community, as well. If you like the Kindle version, Amazon.com. But thank you all so much again for tuning in. And remember, as you travel on your road to being a better you, there will be distractions, rough terrain, detours, and obstacles. Don't let any of those negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be a better you so that you can build your best life. And remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe out there. Those COVID numbers are going back up. So please, please, please be safe. And I love you. And I hope to see you on Thursday. Thank you so much, Dr. Thompson. And I hope that you can come back on here. Enjoyed our time together today.
Well, thank you. And let me do my little shameless plug also. My book, which you won't be able to see because it's purple and my background is purple. I Am Not My Sister's Keeper. I Am My Sister, which is an awareness about intimate partner violence. So it's not on Amazon yet. It will be in a couple of days. But right now you can get it directly from me.
Okay. And that's by going on your Facebook? Or
you can either go to my Facebook and direct message me, or you can Cash App me your address and I can send it to you.
Okay, can you put it back up? Because I had that comment still up there. I didn't see it.
I don't know if you can see the book because it's purple and my background is purple.
Oh, okay.
So it may not show up.
Okay.
But it's I Am Not My Sister's Keeper. I Am My Sister.
Okay. All right. I am my... Say it again.
I am not my sister's keeper. I am my sister.
All right. Okay. You heard her. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Nice to finally meet you. All right, everybody. Take care.
Be safe.